When you think about musical legends, real revolutionaries, how does someone who comes after pick up that torch? I mean, it's more than just, honoring a legacy. How do they build on it, find their own voice without just sounding like a copy? It's a huge challenge, really, in any art form, but maybe especially in jazz, right? Which is always changing. So today, we're doing a deep dive into someone who faced exactly that, Phil Woods. He was the alto saxophonist who stepped into the massive shadow of Charlie Bird Parker. And he didn't just survive there, he thrived. So much so, he actually earned the nickname the New Bird. Our mission here is to really explore Phil Woods' journey. Looking at his early years, his influences, some might surprise you, and his amazing career. Bandleader, composer, session player, he did it all. We're going to try and unpack how he took that bebop language and, well, ran with it, set new standards for the alto sax. And yeah, we'll get to that iconic solo and a huge pop hit that you've definitely heard probably loads of times. Get ready for some aha moments, like finding out about his formal training, maybe not what you'd expect. And hopefully by the end, you'll have a much deeper appreciation for this artist who bridged jazz and pop music with just incredible skill and, well, passion. Okay, so the New Bird. That nickname alone, it's huge in the jazz world, isn't it? That wasn't just some casual compliment. What did it really signal about Woods and his link to Parker and, his own spot in jazz history?
Yeah, it's crucial to understand that the New Bird wasn't just saying, oh, he sounds like Parker. Sure, there was an obvious connection. His technique, that fiery bebop sound.
Yeah.
It definitely drew comparisons to Bird, who basically reinvented the alto sax. But the key thing, and why the name stuck and mattered, is that Woods wasn't just imitating. He absorbed the bebop language, understood it deeply, and then crucially, he extended it.
Extended it.
Exactly. He pushed its vocabulary, maybe refined it in some ways. He really set a new benchmark for playing the alto after Parker. And it wasn't just the sax, remember. He was also a really fine clarinetist, a great band leader, a composer too, a really multifaceted musician right from the start.
Extended it. I like that phrase. When you say he extended the language, what does that actually mean in, musical terms? Was it harmonies, rhythms, the way he built his melodies? What made it different from Burr? What made it that new benchmark?
That's a great question. It gets right to his uniqueness. Parker, often dazzled with harmonic leaps and just sheer speed.
Right.
Woods took that foundation, but maybe smoothed it out, broadened it a bit. You hear it in his melodic lines. They often feel more deliberately structured, almost like telling a story.
Right.
Maybe more overtly than some of Parker's flights.
Ah, okay. More narrative.
Yeah, perhaps. And his articulation was often incredibly clean, super precise, even when playing really fast.
Yeah.
Which might link back to his training, actually. It gave his playing this amazing clarity.
Right.
And harmonically, while he was always rooted in bebop and the blues, he maybe explored slightly richer chords, different extensions that were becoming more common then, post-bebop. So you could say it was a more polished evolution.
Yeah.
Still incredibly passionate, but maybe with a touch more structural rigor.
That's fascinating. Polished, structured, but still passionate. Okay, so given that level of skill, that kind of sophisticated sound, where did it all start? Where did Phil Woods begin his musical life?
Well, he started pretty early, born in Springfield, Massachusetts. Picked up the alto sax when he was about 12.
12, okay. Pretty standard start.
Yes, but here's the twist. In his early years, especially thinking about where he ended up, his formal education, he went to Juilliard, a top-tier music school.
Juilliard, wow. Okay, that fits the technical prowess.
But wait for it. He majored in clarinet.
Get out! Clarinet, not saxophone.
Clarinet. At Juilliard.
Okay, that I did not expect. A clarinet major becoming maybe the most famous alto player after Bird. That points to some serious classical chops, way beyond what many jazz guys had back then.
So how do you think that, focusing on clarinet, specifically at Juilliard, shaped his saxophone playing? Did stuff transfer directly?
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge differentiator. That rigorous classical clarinet training, it likely gave him a technical foundation that was just rock solid.
Right. The finger work, the breath control.
Exactly. That kind of demanding technique probably translated into that incredibly clean articulation, that evenness of tone you hear on the sax. It gave him remarkable control.
And beyond technique, it likely gave him a deeper grasp of classical harmony, form, structure, things he could then weave into his jazz playing, consciously or not.
So it broadened his palette considerably.
Immensely. So while Charlie Parker was clearly the main guy, the biggest influence,
Of course.
Woods also pointed to Benny Carter, who was known for his beautiful melodic sense, and Lenny Tristano, who had that very intellectual linear style.
Right. Tristano's cool school stuff.
Yeah. So you see this really wide base of influences. It wasn't just Bird. It was Bird plus Carter plus Tristano plus Juilliard clarinet training. It created something really unique.
That's quite a mix. It sounds less like he just absorbed things by ear and more like he actively studied and synthesized different approaches, maybe a more analytical mind at work compared to some purely intuitive players.
I think that's fair to say. Intuition is vital in jazz, no question.
Yeah.
But Woods had this structural underpinning from his education and maybe an intellectual curiosity. He seemed able to kind of break down the bebop language and then rebuild it his own way.
Right, not just copying licks.
Definitely not. It was about understanding the why behind the what and then expressing it with his own distinct voice. That blend of study and soul, that's what made him so compelling.
Okay, so his background definitely set him up. And his career was just as varied, wasn't it? He moved between deep jazz and, well, mainstream pop. He played with the absolute giants early on, right? And getting his jazz credentials locked down.
Oh, completely. His early career put him right in the thick of it, touring with people like Dizzy Gillespie.
Dizzy, yeah.
Buddy Rich, Quincy Jones. These weren't just gigs. They were stamps of approval from the highest level of the jazz world.
Established him as the real deal.
Absolutely. As a soloist, as a reliable section player, he proved himself time and again.
But, like we hinted, he didn't stay only in that world. He crossed over into popular music in a big way, much bigger than some people might realize. What's the prime example? The one that probably everyone listening has heard.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
The big one. There's really no contest here. It's his alto saxophone solo on Billy Joel's monster hit from '77, Just the Way You Are.
That solo. Of course, it's so perfect for the song.
Isn't it? And it's pure Phil Woods. You hear the melody, the blues feeling, the beautiful tone, the perfect phrasing.
Yeah.
It's all there. It brought that sophisticated jazz sound, his sound, to literally millions, billions of ears worldwide. A pop audience that might never have stepped into a jazz club.
It's such a famous solo. Instantly recognizable. You know, for someone so steeped in bebop, doing sessions like that for Billy Joel or others, create any kind of, I don't know, artistic conflict for him? Or was it just playing music?
That's a really insightful question. You know, for some hardcore jazz purists back then, maybe there was a feeling of selling out or something.
Right.
But for Woods himself, it really seemed more synergistic. He just saw it as a chance to play beautifully, to contribute something meaningful to the music, whatever the genre.
So he wasn't compromising, just adapting.
Exactly. He brought his jazz heart to those pop sessions. He wasn't watering down his playing, he was elevating the track with his unique voice. And it worked. That's why he was so in demand as a session player. He played on records by Steely Dan,
Nice.
Paul Simon, Lena Horne, tons of others. His ability to fit in, yet still sound like himself, was incredible.
Amazing versatility. But he wasn't just a sideman or a session ace, right? He led his own bands, too.
Oh, definitely. He was a major band leader in his own right. Back in the late 60s, living in Europe, he led the European Rhythm Machine.
Based in Paris, I think.
Yeah, based mainly out of Paris. That band made a big splash internationally. And then later, starting around 1974 and for many years after, he led his own groups, the Phil Woods Quintet, later the Quartet, really highly regarded bands, playing his own tunes, his arrangements. That's where he really cemented his own artistic vision as a leader.
Right, balancing the sideman work with his own projects. It really shows the breadth of his talent. So let's talk about the sound itself. Beyond the technique, beyond the resume, what was it about Phil Woods' playing that made him so special? What really defined that new Bird sound?
Well, first off, the technique was just dazzling. Let's not undersell that. He had complete mastery of the alto saxophone.
Total command.
Total command. But it was never just about technique. His playing was always deeply, deeply rooted in the blues. You felt that connection, that soulfulness.
The blues core.
Absolutely. And he was intensely melodic. He could spin these really intricate lines, but they always made sense. They always sang. They felt like they had direction, like they were telling you something.
Right, not just patterns.
Not just patterns. And maybe above all, it was the passion. There was this fire in his playing, this emotional intensity that was just unmistakable. He played like he meant it, every single note.
Okay, so brilliant technique, blues feeling, strong melodies, and real passion.
That's a pretty good summary, yeah. And if you connect that back to Parker, you see he wasn't just copying Bird's licks. He absorbed the essence of Bird, the energy, the harmonic language, but then he filtered it through his own sensibilities. Through Benny Carter's lyricism, Tristano's lines, his own blues feeling, that Juilliard precision.
And created something new.
Exactly. He created a sound that was clearly built on the tradition, but was uniquely his own. And that sound set a new standard. It showed the next generation how you could honor the past while still pushing the music forward. A true master.
So it wasn't just about playing fast or complex. There was that storytelling element, that emotional weight behind the notes that really connected. Is that right? And how did that mix of, say, intellect from Juilliard, from Tristano maybe, and that raw soul from the blues from Parker actually play out in his solos?
Absolutely. Storytelling was key. The intellect gave him the vocabulary, the grammar, the tools,
Hmm.
the harmonic knowledge, the technique.
Right, the how.
The how. And the soul provided the why, the emotional drive, the message. So in his solos, you'd hear these incredibly well-constructed phrases, really logical flow, and then
Hmm.
suddenly they'd erupt into these passionate, bluesy cries. He could express really complex musical ideas with such clarity that they just felt natural, never forced or,
Yeah,
academic,
not cold.
never cold. It was that perfect blend of head and heart that made his playing so powerful and ultimately so influential.
And that influence was huge, spanning decades and styles. How was that impact recognized? Did he get the awards and honors he'd served during his lifetime?
Oh, definitely. His contributions were widely recognized. He won 4 Grammy Awards over his career, which is pretty impressive.
4 Grammys, wow.
Yeah. And a really big one in 2007, he was named an NEA Jazz Master. That's basically the highest honor for a jazz musician here in the U.S. Puts him right up there with the all-time greats.
NEA Jazz Master, okay. That's major.
It is. Plus, he consistently won polls in magazines like Downbeat, voted top alto player by critics and musicians year after year. So yes, he was definitely celebrated.
That's good to hear.
And his legacy, as we've been saying, is really clear. He took Bird's language, mastered it, and then expanded it. He set an incredibly high bar for playing the alto sax, influencing countless musicians who followed him. He passed away sadly on September 29, 2015. He was 83. Lived in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. It was due to complications from emphysema. Really felt like the end of an era for many jazz fans.
83. A long and incredibly productive life in music. His journey, from being the new bird to playing on huge pop hits, it makes you think, doesn't it? How do we make sure artists like Wood's artists who master a tradition but also evolve it and even bring it to totally new audiences, how do we make sure they keep getting appreciated today? Especially when music feels so, I don't know, fragmented sometimes. So to wrap up, Phil Woods. He was definitely more than just the new bird, much more. A true virtuoso who took Charlie Parker's bebop innovations and poured his own fire, his own technical genius, his own gift for melody into it. And he moved so easily between worlds, the deep intensity of jazz, the broad appeal of pop music. He left a huge mark on both. So here's a thought for you. The next time Billy Joel's Just the Way You Are comes on the radio or your playlist, really listen to that sax solo. Can you hear it now? The bebop echoes, the bluesy phrasing, that incredible technical polish that came from, yes, majoring in clarinet at Juilliard. Kind of makes you wonder how many other amazing session players are hiding in plain sight on songs we love, whose own incredible stories are just waiting for us to do a deep dive. If you want to hear more Phil Woods, and you really should maybe check out the album Woodlore for his earlier sound, or Alive and Well in Paris for that European rhythm machine period we mentioned.
Or maybe I remember. For his later quintet work. Really great stuff on that one, too.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic musical journey to explore. Definitely worth your time.